in one of your TVs, a young girl driving a truck. You should be well dressed, looking very sexy. The guy should be looking at you and saying, wow, sitting on that, driving that truck, contributing to national development. That's what we're talking about here. I'm not talking about when I irrigate my farm, I need to walk 5 miles to the farm, put on just a pump, to turn the pump on to irrigate my cabbage. I should be at the comfort of my bedroom, use my phone, through solar system, solar generated internet system, irrigation system in my farm 20 miles away, and just press a button so that irrigation is done. That's what we are talking about, service delivery. If somebody is complete, a woman is big blood, we need to use drone to fly that blood from Freetown, from Connaught Hospital right to my 91 within 30 minutes to that blood. That is technology we are talking about. So you now understand what the public service, what we are talking about, the public service. If you need your passport, hello, if you need your passport, you don't need to travel to Freetown to get your passport. That's why the civil register has all your data at the comfort of your home with your sweet card. You should be able to look your phone, go to the portal, click the button, do all your details, you pay online, then in 3 days you have your passport at your doorstep. That's what we are talking about here. And this is no magic. This is no magic. This is being done all over the world and even in African countries. That's why for those of you who doesn't know the relevance of the National Civil Register, it was done 10 years, 5 years ago because of what we are now undergoing. We did the civil register so that we will use that data to drive technology, to drive service delivery across the country. So with your NIN, you can access any service facility in this country as long as there is a digital space. When we talk about human capital, when I came here, I saw everything about digitalization. Green student powering green energy. The TV station, student empowering communication, access to information, and the radio. I saw it firsthand. I called a student, can you connect me on the internet? I am on internet now. Right here. This is 21st century education. Hands-on practical education. That's what we are talking about. That's the human capital we are talking about. So by the time you get out of this place, you now know how to deal with solar green energy because you have hands on it. That's the education, that's the transformation we are talking about. Are you talking about infrastructure? Yes. I was one of the person that was shouting, no, the toll gate was not important. But now I understand the essence of the toll gate. And you know what? The day the transition in 2018, when the results were announced and Madam Bio was elected as the president, we were out there trying to change government vehicles. Most of those vehicles have been carted out of this country. Then we know the importance of the toll gate. Every data we need, we got it from the toll gate of those vehicles that left this country. Every data, we got it from the toll gate because your registration number was there. You need it snaps your registration number, it keeps that data. That's technology. And that the essence why if we don't revamp the public service, we will not be able to deliver on these things. And so that's why you guys who are here are the luckiest. Because with hands on deck, practical education, 21st century education, meaning you are fit for the revamp of the public service. And so, how do we want to do this? Now we want to look at institutional reforms. All of you can agree. I know my spending me is time, but let me go through this one, please. It institutional reforms, we want to make sure that all our institutions are aligned with their mandate, their responsibilities, and they are not in conflict with one another. Number two, policy reviews. If you do institutional reforms, then you need to do the policy reviews, as Dr. Snyder said. Institutional reforms go hand in hand with the policy. A mandate given to this institution, we are restructuring that institution, we need to go back to the policy and make sure that what we are changing is aligned in capacity building. Do we have the capacity at the civil service or the public service level to deliver on the medium-term national development plan? Yes, we need to do a manpower audit so that we have that data, we know who is who, how many people, and are those people well equipped, trained, educated, practically oriented to deliver on the medium-term national development plan. We have to do that capacity building. We are talking about wages and remuneration, incentives. If you want me to do more, let me have more. If you give me less, I will work less, because I will take some time to find more to add to what I have. And so we are doing wages harmonization, and I talk about the intervention. I don't need to go to that. But very important is the justice sector reform. How do we make sure justice delayed is what? Justice denied. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So meaning the justice sector, we need to really do a strong reform, make sure that justice is accessible at all levels. We have gone far. You will see that for the first time in the history of Sierra Leone, you have magistrate court, you have high court now sitting in regional headquarters town. And we want to decentralize more, so that you don't need to move your witnesses from I-91 to Makini, with the exorbitant cost of transportation to prove witness for you. And you do it one or two, and that's the end of the case. You should be able to access justice right in I-91 here. And make sure that once your case, the evidence appear, justice is delivered on time with the appropriate tools needed. On that note, there's more to say, but I think we can absorb this one and we'll wait for the questions that come. Thank you very much.
Is that the way you clap for the Honorable Minister? The Minister said something. We cannot do this reform without technology. And we are very pleased to be here this afternoon talking about reform in a university that has knowledge about technology. He has mentioned that most of you there will be part of the public service reform. Because what we are saying here, there are some of you who will come later to help us on how we should go about digitalization. That is what we want to see. A Sierra Leone that is led by Sierra Leoneans, not consultants. And here, in this university, is laying the basis for the next crop of Sierra Leoneans that will change the revolution in ICT. Kudos for you. So the minister spoke about many things, and these are clearly understood. So ladies and gentlemen, we are taking a round of questions, and I believe there are very sharp and intelligent students that will do this afternoon who will be taking notes and who will want to ask questions. This is the opportunity you have before we take the next round of ground rules. Quickly, as you ask your questions, raise your hands, I see you, and then you ask your questions. Second, please ensure that the questions you are asking are part of the discussions here. The questions that I pose to the panelists, please. And ladies and gentlemen, let's respect the view of others. And finally, be time conscious. Let your questions be sharp and straight to the point. Having laid the basis, I want to see the first person who wants to ask the questions to our eminent panelists here this afternoon. Oh yes, your name and state the question.
Good afternoon. I am Abdullah Kamara. I have a question here. According to our deputy minister, in his speech, he did mention that in a situation where an individual gets the opportunity of the free quality education, and at the end of the day, after ascertaining that opportunity, the individual enhancing the vision will leave the country to another country in search of greener pasture. My question here is, if in this situation, what are the specific reforms or strategies that government have put in place to address issues of this understaffing and brain drain in the public sector to avoid such situations? Thank you.
Can we take the next, please? Okay, I have someone here at the back.
Your name and your question, please.
I'm Alhaji Kalon from Computer Science. Based on our honorable minister on what he just touched on the technology aspect, what specific government initiatives and reforms are government fostering to foster technology and incubators for young tech enthusiasts and entrepreneurs? Because this is key if we are talking about technology, and once we are going to be part of the technological space, we need to invest in the youth and create technological hub. So I want to know what initiative the government has put in place for this.
Thank you. Can we take, yes, your name and your question? Who are you posing the question to?
My name is Anna Sabin Kalon, and I'm posing the question to the minister. Are there mediums which people can use to offer those services?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Two more. Who are the two lucky people? Two more, please. Yes. Somebody there, please. Your name and who are you posing the question to?
My name is James, and I'm posing the question to the minister. Oh yeah, I mean mass communication failure. Yes, please. So what strategies are in place to address potential resistance from stakeholders as you implement changes in the public service structure?
Thank you. The last lucky one is going to who? I think a lady. The last lucky one is going to who? A lady. Where are my ladies? The last chance? Okay, the guys. Oh, there's a guy. All right. Yes. The last one. Your name? Who are you posing the question to?
The question is for Mr. Suleiman.
Sumaila.
Yes, I'm Steven Konda. And in this statement, he did make mention of the historical past of the civil service. As head of the civil servant, I just want to know what plans has he got to for Sierra Leone to regain its past glory, considering the historical services it has been providing in terms of civil service to other nations.
Thank you very much. This is the last for the first set of questions. Now I have a written one. This is to Dr. Ghana. It says, sir, it is evident that governance is contingent. I'm excited to learn here today that the public sector has a medium-term development plan that guides the development of objectives of our economy. My question, the sector ensure medium development and successfully transferred from one government to another. That goes for Dr. Ghana. So now let me take Dr. Ghana before I come to the minister who has multiple questions to answer. Dr. Ghana, please. Good question. Fits very well with the agenda for reform. As part of Ghana reform, you realize that we have a constitution that was passed in 1991. And even was still in school. And so it's a different constitution. The constitution of the process. The two chairpersons that have the outcome, Mr. Chaka and Justice Karan, Honorable President Kabar and former President Roman. His Excellency the President is trying to give us a new constitution. In that, the
There is proposal for us to have what we call a national transition law. When we have a national transition law, the steps by which one administration passes on power and office to a succeeding one will be laid out in law. Currently there is none. So there is so much ad hoc and arbitrariness. The best practice convention is what we call handing over and taking over. In Sierra Leone, we do it as if it's a coup d'etat. The government loses today, the new ministers come tomorrow, they don't want to see the other ministers. Also, there is nothing that binds unless public situation and conscience of an incoming government to continue with the policies and programs of an outgoing government. So in the transition law, it's going to be that whatever is inherited by the new administration, assets and liabilities as people in the financial sector receive, you own everything. Meaning therefore, the plan becomes the of any government that comes in. But more importantly, again, there's a question to Mr. Sumaila. When I was in sixth form in school, we used to have a national development plan. But again, because of all of these interactions with international institutions like the IMF and the World Bank, they started telling us to do piecemeal planning with medium-term plans, and they are very confusing. The national plans of yesterday used to be generational plans of 10 years, and so they are forced to buy into it. This is 3 years rolling the coin. So in that national transition law the president is thinking about, we might revert also as part of our economic underpinning to having national development plans that goes over a 10-year period, and not to be changing it because you have a new manifesto and changing new programs. So quickly, the response is we're going to secure continuity by law. Currently, there is no law, and that's part of the reform agenda which the minister is running on behalf of His Excellency the President and the government of the people. And we are free to give suggestions. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Baiman. Now let me take Mr. James Sumaila quickly to there is a particular question posed to him. Mr. James Sumaila, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Victor. The question relates to what strategies we could do to regain our past glories. Indeed, it is natural for everybody to actually glory in your past successes. The things we are undertaking now are not a novelty. They were done by us before. Where have we lost it, and how can we regain it? The president has indicated in the proclamation of the new ministry that you want to focus on professionalism and high quality service delivery. When we position ourselves, saying those high level attainments, we are sure to get ourselves back to the position where we were before. After we generally very civilians like me and you who are selected to go to those places. So we are of those people. It might have been your grandfather, mine, and we still have the same spirit in us. So let's continue with that journey. Using the new trajectory that has been suggested here, we focus on professionalism and high quality service. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the minister has questions to answer. Over to you, Mr. Minister.
I have 4 questions.
Four questions.
That's it. One is talking about and brain drain in the public service. We all know that for 21 years, not to the west in terms of greener pastures. Not so 40 years. So man, don't be forgetting that they come out. That was one way they migrated. The second one is as a result of the 10 years rebel war in this country. So I know 99% of us here, or maybe say 60 or 70% of us here, we are born during the period of the war. maybe 30 or 40% of us were born after the war. So those of us that were born after the war don't know the history of the war. We just know the war was fought, but we don't know what happened. For those who are born during the war, I have to understand why the war came. Yeah, and the destructions it causes, because all the handiworks that were left, that should have been the blueprints of our remembrance not to go back to war, have been pissed away. And that caused another migration of the best professionals from the public service. And then we usher in democracy. The battle for supremacy, political ideologies and platforms is also driving away the next generation. And that's why the need for us to have the free quality education, to build our skill sets, so that we can have the necessary skill we need for the industrial transformation we want to happen in Syria. If you don't know, it came to a very recently, even drivers were brought from Ghana, cooks, chefs were brought from Ghana for mining companies, and that's why we're investing in free quality education. So we'll continue to invest in the free quality education so that we can have the skill sets, and also that's why we have the reforms, so that we open up the space, create the policies for the systems to roll out and open up the opportunities for the best of professionals to have access to it. That's the essence of the reform. Government initiatives for innovation. While the ministry was created by the president, the Ministry of Communication, Technology and Innovation was also established for the first time in the history of this country. And I know they will also be taking this same route we are taking to come and do public engagement for you to see the opportunities that are creating 2 innovation hubs in Sierra Leone. The minister, she's around 27? 28 years. The Minister of Communication, she had Salim Abba, she's 28 years old. Our Deputy Minister of Health is around 26 years old. These are professionals in their own right, and they are doing wonderful things presently, because we don't want our data to go somewhere outside Sierra Leone. In this home, everybody is saying WhatsApp is encrypted. We are using WhatsApp, but if we offend the West today, the man that created WhatsApp is in California. With the price of a bottle, she will shut down the entire WhatsApp, and we don't have authority over it. So what we are saying, can't we create our own inbuilt local app by our own innovators and use it? Sierra Leone is almost at the point of going cashless. For the first time, we have introduced the switch code at the Bank of Sierra Leone, completed by the end of May. And meaning, you innovators now have the opportunity to create app for money transfer, because Sierra Leone is going cashless. You either carry your money in your phone or you carry your money in your credit card. Sierra Leone is going with you. People like you now transfer and send you number and send you. Yeah, and those are the innovators. So we are creating this platform for those innovators to be able to innovate. So you have now the opportunity to start doing your algorithm. Go to those, I see there is a first class, a hub here for you. Start looking at what you can contribute. And the Ministry of Communication is ready to create an enabling platform for you. So digitalization is the way. There is no way we are not going. There is no way we can do the reform. There is no way we can change this situation without technology and digitalization. Most important, the private sector plays a critical role in national development. And so meaning entrepreneurship is very, very critical. How do we create our own entrepreneurs? Services we need for our people. Uber is all over. Uber. If I want taxi now, I have to wait until the taxi pass. If I need a taxi in Ghana, I will just call Uber, and the Uber will tell them within 5 minutes to pick you up. The power of technology. So the entrepreneurship. I was talking to Mr. Sumaya, that can grade 1 and grade 2, those drivers, those cleaners, let us have them in the bureaucracy of permanency no longer. Let us be civil servants, let's put them on contract and give that private sector. Somebody will be training the best of drivers, and we will hire those private sectors to provide the drivers for the government, so that we will empower the private sector, entrepreneurship. That's what we're talking about. Vision to all services is it. I want to make you understand that even as I talk to you now, there are lots of opportunities for job within the system. But the question is, the president is saying, let's attract the best of professionals. It's not who knows you, it's what you know. So we want to create an environment where you will have the opportunity of what you know and not who knows you. So now you have the opportunity to be the best of professional rather than waiting for a politician to recommend you.
Yes.
And that's what we are doing. That's why we are in discussion now, to make sure that even the recruitment process, the training, the promotion, the relocation, retirement is digitalized. So that you don't need to go to PSA and collect your Form 8. You should be at the comfort of your house. You go into the portal, you see an advert for a job, you apply online, then everything is done online. We are working on that. So the opportunities are there. The strategy to address rotational resistance. Resistance is part of human nature. People want change, but they don't want to be the change. That's the fact. Even the best for you, you don't want to undertake that change, because the status quo doesn't allow you to change. If you don't get this one and friend, what they cook for you, for you. Even for the mere fact, if they do them firework them for you, then that girlfriend will come. When they do everything for you, including in all the costs, because for them change, even the way you know it's not good, but it's difficult for them to change. That's the power of resistance. So even within yourself, there is resistance. So the question is, it's a matter of mindset. How do we work on our mindset as Sierra? You are using your SSPP and NGC. Election, how do we pull it up somewhere? We are not born APC and SSPP, we are born Sierra Leoneans. We carry our identity as Sierra Leoneans, not APC, SSPP and NGC. So whatever is being done by the government is done for the interest and people of Sierra Leone and not for a specific political party. So if you see a transformer, why do you go and destroy the transformer? And you go on social media and say, we don't have light. So it's a mindset game. So the strategy first, mindset. Let's change our mindset. See ourselves as Sierra Leonean rather than mandate SSPP and OPC, and make sure that we be part of the change. If you see somebody destroying something, take the bold step and report. Hold it there.
Thank you
Very much, Mr. Minister. I believe the students are following. We want to keep this program very short also. We wanted it to be 2 hours, and it has to be. So we are going to run with time. So on that note, I'm going to give my panelists time. We still have 2 questions to go. Because of that, I'm a compressor, and then some will come later. I will take some panelists to address some specific issues, very specific. So on this note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going back to Dr. Kaima. Please listen very, very carefully again. Dr. Kaima, we want our student body here to actually know the status in Sierra Leone and some of the reforms that have taken place over the years. I believe Dr. Kaima is taking us through that. Ladies and gentlemen, take note, ask your questions, follow through.
Thank you very much, Mr. Director. Governance is everything. It provides the backdrop. It's or revolve. The Minister and Mr. Subala alluded to quite a few. There have been a lot of institutional reform. For example, we used to Independent National Electoral Commission. It became national today as we speak, consistent with the Constitution of Sierra Leone Act number 6 of 1991.
It is now called the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone. In the Constitution of Sierra Leone, it used to be a provision that there should be 4 electoral commissioners, but now we have a 5th region. So by constitutional instrument, a provision in the Constitution was amended in the 5th Parliament, and then instead of now limiting the number of commissioners per region, we now just said in the ECSL or Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone legislation that there shall be a chief electoral commissioner and chair and any other commissioners. So that gives us room. Even if we have 30 regions tomorrow, we'll still be consistent to have them in there. Also, we are managed to be having issues around the management of our political parties. We used to have what they call the Political Parties Registration Commission. But because it didn't work on the political parties, we reformed the basis of our democracy. As part of the reform, that institution had to be reformed, and a new legislation was created in 2022, and now we have the Political Parties Regulation Commission. The political parties are now being regulated. In addition to that, also we realize that data, as my colleague has been speaking here, has been very important. So we now have what we call the National Monitoring and Evaluation Agency, NAMIA, that looks in a very granular way at all government programs and projects across the country and prepare periodic reports for His Excellency. When I was in school, and many of us here at this high school were in school, we used to have in our curriculum civic education that taught us nationhood, love of nation, patriotism, national consciousness, national awareness. We learned a lot today. So, as part of the reform, we have the National Council on Civic Education, NACED, and as a legislation. And it is to go back to this when they will teach us about how do we love our country. It is unfortunate that only in government departments and agencies in this country, you will go there, you for Johnson, you go other parts in the West, even when you go to private homes, you see the flag there. This is the only country where somebody will say, Salo Halaki. In other countries, being good or bad, country comes first, country is love, they will define country. Also, in addition to that, we have had the National Public Procurement Authority. Prior to that, we used to have what they call a central tender board. All procurement in the country was centralized in the Ministry of Finance. Over the years, that has been done. Now we have a competent authority they call the National Public Procurement Authority that manages our public procurement reform. Monies are spent on procurement. But because also procurement is still a dicey area, there is also a provision in the law to create an independent review panel of public procurement. So if you have a relation with a Slovenian and you think you'll be wrong in the procurement process, you got to appeal to that panel, and the panel can look up to you and can be done. We just, in the judiciary, for example, Sierra Leone is one of the few countries among the civilized world, better than even America and England, because we have removed the death penalty from our books. In America, they still kill capital offenses. In the UK, they still kill for capital offenses. In this country, His Excellency the President has taken a bold and unprecedented step to remove that. In Sierra Leone, it was part of the Public Order Act that to make people like big journalists to be in prison because of writing has been expunged by His Excellency the President. So as we speak here, there is no prisoner of conscience in Sierra Leone, no journalists behind the bar. Now, we have what we call the Criminal Procedures Act, which is perhaps one of the most transformative laws in the judiciary that makes sure that cases are expedited and then we don't have a long investigation where they arrest you for several days they say they are investigating. That has been presented to Parliament 2 days ago. When that passes, 68% of the case votes in courts will be done with rapid time, and therefore justice delivered in record time, improving our justice sector delivery. And I can go on and on and on. But I want to say that the governance landscape is moving, it's robust, it's agile, and it's being responsive to the 21st century. Place in Sierra Leone, among the 3 countries of the world, hence you realize 16 years back we started with the Millennium Challenge Corporation, the MCC. For most of the time we are feeling, in the last 6 years, we have consistently and progressively passed that the United States government is about now to negotiate a compact with the government of Sierra Leone that will help us to attend to very critical infrastructure interventions in the country. Because
our governance, indices and records in corruption, access to citizens' rights, openness to government, progressive legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I think this is more an opportunity for the students to know exactly the reforms that have taken place in governance. As you can see, Dr. Kaima has been giving you number by number what has taken place, the changes that has taken place, and the documents and the policies that we have. So please, I want you to take note, ask questions for clarification, and then we move forward. So let me go to Mr. John Sumaila. There is a new ministry that has been formed by the president. The president has made commitment. We've had many gains over the past years, and we've recorded many reforms. Mr. Sumaila, can you please tell students here how can institutional reforms, performance management, and play reform optimize service delivery? And also, does the Sierra Leone at 63, the age 63, we are celebrating independence tomorrow, do we have professional civil servants to drive the vision and aspirations of the sector? To you, Mr.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fure Musa. To start with the reforms, you will recall that over the years, under the service reform program, a number of initiatives that have most of completed. We have what we call the management and functional reviews of institutions. This term of reform looks at the mandate of the ministry. It also looks at the structure that supports that mandate, and it also looks at the personnel that carry out in accomplishing that mandate. So that review examines what we have and provides recommendations as to how okay. So the managerial reviews are being across all the public sector institutions. It's not only limited to the civil service, it's going beyond the civil service to the commissions, to the institutions that are established by acts of parliament, all other state subjected agencies of government. So that institutional reform is going on. Along the same lines, there are legislations that underpin the mandate of these institutions. Some of these legislations speak to the definition of roles. Role clarity are not well defined here, and this is where we are having the review of these legislative frameworks. To see whether these frameworks really do speak to the mandates that we now hold in the ministries. Okay. The third one is how do we upscale the professionalism and the competence of the officers who work in these institutions to be able to deliver the services that are required of these institutions. So there are a number of training programs. We are working now with the EU so that we could be able to upgrade the civil service training college. Now we provide hands-on skills training to people to be able to go back to their ministries and work efficiently and more effectively. That goes for the institutional reforms. In terms of the pay reforms, we are coming from a background where there are a lot of institutions that carry their own salaries over and above the others. And the interesting thing here is that you may be coming from the same institution with your colleagues. He goes into one institution, the guys pay 3 or 4 times the and you're also working for the same government. Don't you think that situation is not odd? It's odd, of course. So the pay reform is looking across the entire public sector. But we pay for work that is done. We pay for the professionalism and competence you perform or you possess to perform the job. So that we have a parity of salaries and this discontent of me not being paid, and could be eliminated, so that you look at yourself that you are not perform one is the aspect relating to performance management. Performance management is key. If you want more pay, you must be able to perform at the highest level. And in performance management, we have looked at 3 processes. First of all, we have gone away from the old system where the boss will sit down and assess you to say, no, Mr. Foremusa, you should get promotion. No, this time around, there is documentary evidence-based performance criteria. At the start of each period, we sit down together, both the supervisor and the appraisee. We agree on what our targets could be. And all these targets could be set within the ministerial work plan. Say, for instance, if this institution is to provide educational services to students, now all the staff here will have their own role to play to contribute to that output. So we sit down, we agree on what you provide for me, and then the head of the institution will charge you by how much you'll be able to deliver on that target you've set for yourself. So you set up a target, but in carrying out those targets, perhaps midway there may be some emerging issues that may require you to review such targets on account of resources, on account of environmental issues, on account of maybe removal of people from one place to the other. Then you sit down and recalibrate what you need to achieve within that period. At the end of the assessment period, there is an appraisal. We look at all what you said you deliver on, we assess you on evidence-based appraisal, and then we grade you. And that will be the basis for the sanctions or the award you get. Because the more you work, the more advancement you will have in your positions. So that is how performance management goes. Thank you.
A round of applause for you, please. So we now, students of Central University, we now understand the reforms that are taking place in the civil service that has to do with structural alignment, performance and pay reform, also wages and how people are being held accountable because of performance. I'm sure you must be putting down your questions for this particular set of questions to the panelists. Let me come to the minister. A few days ago, I think many of you witnessed what is what I would have unprecedented. At the State House, the president had to sign performance contract with ministers. It means we'll be holding ministers account for their stewardship. What's their commitment? And then at the end of the year, there will be forecast to mark these ministers as per what they've signed with government. So today, the minister is here to tell us what is that performance contract signed with the public sector. However, how does the ministry play? What is the role of the ministry in general in revamping the public sector? So it's a presidential question to the minister. So let's hear the minister, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much for this very important and timely question. I know colleagues here, I'm also a student, so don't bother and call me colleagues. I'm still learning, you know. You get old, have your hands. There is a generational change in what you know yesterday. It has changed. So we've just signed the performance contract with His Excellency the President. And Dr. Goima laid the premise clearly how we came about to arrive where we signed the performance contract with His Excellency the President. So basically from a heart-jogging scene when during the period of his campaign he saw something and that drive him to say, I'm going to have this into my manifesto that if I become the president and my party, then I will do A, B, and C. And then that manifesto now becomes, is being transformed after winning the election in national document of national development. So it's no longer the SF manifesto, but it's now the national development plan for the people of Sierra Leone. And then that means national development are key pillars
deliverables that they will be looking at. So Dr. Gaima did mention about NAMED, the National Monitoring and Evaluation Department, that will be looking at how the time is being achieved, the key deliverables. Those deliverables now are now put into a performance contract. Then ministers are asked to deliver on them at an annual basis. So by 5 years, if, for example, the public service architecture has 10 deliverables for the next 6 years, then for this year, they will be going to deliver on A, B, and C. And don't forget, if, for example, for the establishment or for the development of a public service act for Sierra Leone, you cannot do it in 1 year. So meaning this year they will say, can we have the policy? 2025, can we have the bill? And then the bill goes to Parliament. And after Parliament ratified, the President signed it, you have the regulations and the implementation plan, then you ask again, how do you communicate to the people of this country? Do you monitor the implementations of the dictates of that policy? So it can be. So in your performance contract, you are told on what you have to deliver for the year as a minister. Now the minister provides the policy directive, because it's the policy and political directive, because the medium term the national development was seeking for a manifesto, and the manifesto is a political commitment, and that political commitment the president gives power to a minister. So he said, Mr. Minister Amara Kalon, can you please give me this favor about the public sector? So I become the principal advisor to the president on public service. Are we clear on this? The political advisor. So whatever the president commits himself to do in the next 5 years, he gives that power to the minister to do. Then you have the civil servant. They are the engine, the oil that lubricates the engine so that the delivery becomes successful. And so what the minister does is to break that particular plan into strategies. And those strategies, now you draw the activities, then you ask the technical people within your ministry to implement and give you the results. Then you ask the Ministry of Finance or donor partners. So what we'll be doing, we have signed this contract with key deliverables. There are 3 aspects of the performance contract. As a ministry, direct deliverables, which have been provided resources for the next 1 year to deliver. So for example, my ministry has been asked to deliver on the Public Service Act for this year. Money has been provided for that. The second aspect of the performance contract has to do with the projects. Projects that are coming under your ministry, mostly not funded by the government, but they are part of your not directly under the budget of the government, but donor partners. Mr. Minister, I want to work on you on A, B, and C. We are going to define project funding and budget so that we can support you. You are going to deliver on those ones. So there are clear, defined objectives and deliverables on our projects that you have to monitor. And the third one is the administrative indicators. So for example, are we holding senior management meetings in our we're not obligatory, but it's mandatory. Hold senior management meetings on weekly basis so that we abreast ourselves of developments and make further clarifications of what needs to be done in our ministry. They are asking us that we should now the media. So the now they are saying, even what I'm doing here is going to be assessed because it's going on Facebook, and that's going to be tagged that in 2024 I engaged the citizens of the country through public lectures or media, and they're asking me to do 53, that is 53 weeks. I need to engage of this country, through any platform. They're also asking me to make sure that whatever resolution comes from cabinet, at least 50% of that resolution need to be implemented by the end of the year. To submit a number of cabinet papers by the end of 2024. So meaning what they are telling me, there are policies that are policies. Yesterday there is a policy that has been in existence from 1861. We still have a policy in Sierra Leone that has been in existence from 1861. It's still sitting out there. So they have to go back, look at your mandate, look at those policies, and make sure that at least you have 5 for reviews where necessary. So things that they are asking, so that at the end of the day, they are not only looking at the results, but we are also the process. So it's process monitoring, process evaluation, output monitoring, evaluation, and we are looking at the outcome. With all what you have done, all the activities you've done, all the output you say, we to 5 people here now. At the end of the day, what's the outcome? What is their response to governance? How many entrepreneurs, how many innovators in the next 2 years will come out of this room who as a of what they are listening to now motivated them to design app. Those are looking at. Yeah. So this is why the performance contract is not only say we need electricity, but how did you go at that's been mentioned. Because the reason we want to contribute to knowledge. When you do research, you are contributing to the body of knowledge. That makes sense when you are doing research. You are doing activity because somebody will be here. Yesterday there was a minister. He's gone. So I'm a minister. I'll be going. And tomorrow, so one of you will be minister here. So what knowledge will I leave for you so that when you come, you will know this one as a minister. That's the essence of monitoring and evaluating and making sure that we archive that knowledge. Put it in a place where it will be reached by anyone who wants to get it. So this is the performance contract. So 1, measuring results. Number 2, measuring the process. And number 3, making sure that we contribute to knowledge and archive those knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister, for taking us through the performance contract. Most of you there are aware now what the minister signed up to and what he should be doing in the next 1 year and then the next 5 years. So I believe the minister will be working with institutions closely to ensure that that mandate is being achieved. And also he made something very important. He said that we need to have knowledge management. So when we leave, someone that is coming in can have something to learn from. So that's very important. So on this note, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to open the floor for the next set of questions again. So this time around, you know, the president has said that we need to have 30% of women participation in every, at least 30%. That's the minimum. We can have 40, we can have 60, and even 90. As you can see, today in governance, as mentioned by the speakers, we have bright young ladies serving as ministers and holding very prominent positions in government. That tells you that the youth bulge is making decisions in this country now. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, let me take your questions again. Who is going to be the first person? Good. Somebody there, please help me with the mic. Your name and who are you going to pose the question to?
Mr. A.S.M. Koyama, thank you for the wonderful talks you've given us today, and I also believe this will contribute to our knowledge. And of course, today I've been able to understand that one of the primary purposes of the public sector is to enforce laws and also ensure that citizens abide by those laws and orders. And that I was able to strengthen my knowledge with the fact that the Constitution is the biggest source of those laws and orders. And of course, this Constitution made the platform
it made provision for the establishment of the public sector. Part 3 of this Constitution, Act number 6, of the 1991 Constitution, Part 3, Section 35, made provision for freedom of speech and of expression. But I'll tell you that in this country, freedom of speech is guaranteed, but freedom after speech is not there. Of course, when you go to Kalimba Road and other correctional centers, you realize that many youths who are undergoing troubles, perplexities, who are undergoing cumbersome situations, they are like suffering a gravity of crime they do not commit. Some will actually admit to the fact that they commit the crimes they are being punished for. Now, while the minister was talking, of course, the question here is simple. Why is it that if this sector is enforcing law, what is the sector doing to ensure that youth have their rights and liberties? While the minister was talking, he said, justice denied is justice delayed. And injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So we're in a democratic country, and one of the principles of that democracy will tell you, which is the rule of law, it says the exercise of governmental power shall not be conditioned by law, and that the subject shall not be exposed by the arbitrary will of its rulers. So now, in as much as the sector is ensuring, let's clap for him. Can you make it quick? So what is the sector? What is the public sector doing? So not only enforce the laws, but to see that our youth get what they are fighting for, and our youth do not go for punishment they do not commit. When you talk about this push issue, you see that those who take the push, they will pass, they are here to be shared. Alright, that minister, thank you. Please, do not go to punishment. Thank you. I understand. And let me help you quickly. And let me guide the proceedings. There are ground rules. Stay within the premise of the questions. And also, please just make it short so you give opportunities to others. But maybe Dr. Gaima will have to rephrase, because he made mention about the laws and the existence of the laws and the responsibility. You know, law also comes with responsibilities. So they will address that, the panelists will address that shortly. Although you did not pose the question to anybody, but I know Dr. Gaima, to the minister. Okay, that's right, minister, sir. Alright, let me take the second question, please. A lady, please. I want to see ladies say something, please. They are not around. Okay. Alright, yes. Anybody from the audience, please? I see a hand there. Is there a hand? Alright, it seems this is going very well. It's going very well? Yes? Alright, somebody here, please.
Okay, good afternoon. One Lavin Kamara. Minister, you did mention of performance contracts. Yeah. So what are these performance contracts? Is there any percentage taking into consideration the deliverables? Is there any percentage that you can attach to the regional development plan to ascertain that indeed you've met your goal or not?
That's a good one. Yes. Can we take that? A good one? Clap for him. Somebody there? Okay. 3 more to go, please. Ask your questions. You have an opportunity this afternoon to have the best brains in Sierra Leone. It's something that is not easy to come by. To see these men seated on that table is very difficult. They are here today. Ask your questions. Please, ask them. From the front, the back?
So maybe when we respond, I want to respond more questions.
All right. So let's ask the minister.
Let me just stop there.
Yes, to go too quickly.
Thank you very much.
Can we give a round of applause to my brother again? It's indicative of the fact that he has read well, he has studied well, he has not misused the internet, he has made use of the opportunity to abreast himself of development in the nation. And when people back it with argument, that's you that these people understand very well, and we need to contribute to knowledge. So what we do is to move that question to mentor, the governance advisor to His Excellency the President, the man who serves at the citadel of the review of the Constitution. You know, he's the man that we pick his brain to discuss the issues, and he makes submission on the freedom of speech and the issue therein. But maybe just for me to lay the premise, you know, for him to respond to this question in the fact that yes, freedom of speech and freedom after speech, these are two distinct things. So you take responsibility and liability of what comes out of your mouth. So there is freedom of speech. You can say now, because part 5 of the seditious libel law has been expunged from the books. But if that was primarily for and on behalf of the government, because the government has a Solicitor General and Attorney General. Previously, it went in part 5 before it was expunged. If you make a statement against any politician, the government will hire the Attorney General for that government individual to court. Now it's no longer the play. But as a private man, I have now the power to take you to court for what you say. That was law, and that is the law presently. So government is not going to spend money to provide a lawyer for. I have the prerogative to say I'm going to take a private lawyer to take you to court for what you say about me. And that has nothing to do with law. It has nothing to do with government. Previously, the government has to pay for those people. But now government is saying, if they talk against you, you get a court or you get right for forgiveness. And if you are taken to court, it's not the government. As a politician, if you defame my character, I have the right to take you to court as a citizen. I'm not as a government minister. So I'm going to pay a lawyer. I'm going to pay a lawyer to defend my case as a citizen of this country. Is that clear, my brother? So that's the freedom after speech. You have freedom of speech. You can say what you want to say, but after you've said it, there are consequences depending on the individual. Does that answer your question? But what Dr. Ghana is going to do is to give you a broad outline of how that happens. Second has to do with the medium-term national development plan. Dr. Ghana also, they are the architects and the writers of the performance contract. But in the document, there are percentage deliverables here. So for example, they are telling you that if you 5 cabinet papers, you should have about 50% of those cabinet papers. So there is a percentage indicated. So it says cabinet papers, but 50% of the resolutions of those cabinet papers, you should have implemented them by December 31st, 2024. That clear? So there are percentage attached to every indicator, there are percentage added to every deliverable. So it's not left afloat. So don't go and present cabinet paper. And we are discussing that with Mr. Smile. Even when we calculate the performance contract to the staff within the ministry, they are also going to be marked by percentage. So if you say you are going to write 5 note verbals 2024 is not only to say, here are the note verbals that I wrote, but we want to see the response from those note verbals and the outcome. So if you write a note verbal for me to have a visa to go to America, an attachment of the visa should be there, that the note verbal that I wrote is as a result of this visa, and the visa was given to the minister, and that has to be attached to the performance management to know that it didn't all right, but there was a response and an action output after it. Dr. Ghana, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. You don't know. My brother on the other side, great. There is a difference between freedom of expression and defamation, as well as what they call assassination and character. The state is represented by the authorities of states. It is by law, is the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice. What I did say, and I want to say this authoritatively, the international agents that measure freedom of information, freedom of conscience, rates above 80%, and I'll tell you historically, from 2018 to date, nobody is in prison. Nobody's freedom is infringed upon because of expressing freedom of right as the UN or other charters of the world. Now, like the minister said, if somebody does character assassination, for example, or you defame his excellence, he could take a private suit against that individual in the states. That is now not the president. That is Mr. Julius Maada Bio versus. When the indictment reads the state, that is where it is. But in that case, you have the IGP, the preliminaries, going to the Director of Public Prosecution, and then he got prosecuted by the Solicitor General on behalf of the state. The case of an individual, like the minister says, you put the file clear. But I want to tell you that right protection institutions in the country provided very few efficient and effective and ongoing legal aid, meaning that access to justice for the poor and vulnerable and marginalized is assured across the country. In the last 2 years, they have served over 30,000 vulnerable marginalized people in Sierra Leone who are in conflict, who are in conflict with the law. That's one. Number two, on the global convention rights, Sierra Leone has a human rights commission that is a grade A accredited. There are countries in Western Europe that are still C and D. Sierra Leone has a grade A United Nations accredited human rights commission, and the reports, we cannot have a grade A if people are as they purporting to be, because there are global reviews that are done and it consists of those global reviews. Also, Sierra Leone is a certificate of a lot of conventions, including the ECOSOC that you are trying to refer to, and ECOSOC reviews will consistently last couple of years. And so I want to assure you that whoever they think may be in court, you need to produce the evidence might point otherwise by the idea either out of defamation or because they have committed other crime other than a crime against the state. And I want to close by saying that the issue about rights, they always go with obligations. The limit of your right is the beginning of the protection of my rights. This is basic in human rights law and human rights principles. Nobody is entirely and totally free. There is what they call the rights and obligations. And so watch that thing. My brother mentioned the issue of the performance contract. What is in the public? How we did that, consultations were done with people, and we did a lot of data mining, and the performance contracts are a product of digging through, tracking performance, capacity, and deliveries in various sectors over time. So we did a data mining analysis. We looked at two things. Is it reasonable? Is it able? Could be funded? And parameters will hide out the functions and the activities for the instance. And each of those ones have been disaggregated. What I know. you 25%, we can give you 50%, 75%, and 100%. The cut-off mark for a pass mark is at the discretion and behest of His Excellency the President. Why? Because it is he and his government that you, as a city, will assess. You are not going to assess Honorable Kalon. He will assess Honorable Kalon, but they will say the Bureau administration or the Bureau government. So it depends on where he places it. They may decide to place at 50, but I believe he will not place at 50. They may place at 75, because when the evaluation is being done, they are going to be assessed through an evaluation. And I want to also say there is a whole directorate with also in State House, the Directorate of Performance Management, that works closely with the office of the head of civil service and the cabinet secretariat. They will take time off independently to review and assess the ministers, and the score sheet will be confidentially presented to the president, who now call the ministers and present their score sheets to them. The other thing also probably you don't say is that the government is also going to work on what they call the incentivization and the sanction. In case you don't do it, what's your sanction? If you do it right, what do you get as an inducement to make it happen? But by and large, it is all geared towards the president made a promise that if elected at the second term, I will make sure that I build upon my gains and I will accelerate delivery to get to the lower level. We need that for Sweden to get a quantum leap to place us where we're supposed to be. Thank you, sir.
So, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I believe we've exhausted quite a number of issues, and it has been a learning point for us here today. So I'm going to give a minute or two to each of the speakers to just give a closing, and then we will draw the curtains for today. And we will have a representative from the students to thank us for this thing. So I'm going to start with Mr. Smiler to give us a closing. Just quickly, hear him.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I must first of all acknowledge that we are very much impressed by the quality of the discussions that have taken place here this afternoon. But let me leave you with this commitment and assurance as head of the civil service that the civil service remains to be a critical arm of governance in this country. You are all products of what the civil service could be. We look forward to you to prepare yourselves to sit in our positions to carry out these functions. And what we are saying now is that prepare yourself professionally and with the right skills and competencies. You'll be seated here tomorrow to make sure that you deliver on all the aspirations of government for the betterment of Sierra Leone. Thank you very much.
I know that just put your hands together for him again. Dr. Gama is going to give his closing, but he's going to talk about something that may interest you. Most of you might be listening to news. You have the tripartite committee. He's the co-chair of that committee. We'll tell you exactly how far we are with that, and very quickly, citizens of the country, immediately after the elections results were announced in 2023, there were concerns about the level of inclusivity and participation. The main opposition party, by the way, there are 17 registered political parties in Sierra Leone. The main opposition party raised concerns about electoral, but I want to say here, and for the records, that in this country by law, when the election is conducted at the level of the presidential election, and any party that participated in the election or any individual who registered and voted in the election, they are allowed by law within 7 days to make a representation in the Supreme Court for determination. If you register and you do not vote, you will not have the right. You have to register and you must in that election. Political parties also that participated should within 7 days apply to the Supreme Court of the land for a determination of whatever may be their grievance. 7 days there was no such for any political party. However,
the main opposition party decided not to participate in governance. Is that the president, in the spirit of inclusivity and participation, was concerned. Hello. He was concerned that despite his party having majority in parliament and he had gone on with the business of parliament, he was concerned that running a state on one party is anti-democratic. So he asked for ways to be done to ask the APC what their grievances were. Whilst I was looking at, he instructed Honorable Vice President to start thinking about how do we do electoral reform. So his first address to the 6th Parliament, he did promise the country that he will put together an electoral reform agenda, be chaired by the Vice President. Shortly after that, the Commission for Peace and National Cohesion, they call it Peace Commission, was approached by the APC that they had some grievances. The Peace Commission and they said, our concerns can only be expressed if we have an internationally mediated dialogue. So the Peace Commission applied to the African Union, the ECOWAS and the Commonwealth Secretariat. So in October last year, October 17-18, we had a dialogue that was chaired on the side of government by the Honorable Chief Minister, Mohammed Hussein, and Honorable Minister here being inclusive, on the government side. And on the APC side, we had the former flag bearer leader of the party, Dr. Samuel Matumis in Tamara. We had 2 years of dialogue. The product of that was what we call the Agreement of National Unity. That agreement had 8 resolutions. One of the resolutions was Resolution 3, which is that a tri-party or a cross-party committee with a review of systems and management bodies will be done. And that involved APC and the government of Syria. And so the APC nominated 7 people and the president nominated. Dr. Kalfan from the APC is the co-chair of the APC. Mohammed Hussein of Australia, the United Nations resident coordinator of the international community. So we prepared the terms of reference of agreed. We've been working, our mandate should ideally end on the 19th of, because it's supposed to be a 6 month. There have been apprehensions, misconceptions, and misinformation. What is our mandate? Our mandate is simply this, that the committee should look at all previous elections starting from 2002, 2007, 2012, 2018, 2023, to look at any issues that we think and make recommendations to His Excellency the President in a report about how to improve the electoral environment in Sierra Leone to secure Sierra Leone's future electoral. But over the information we have that this review is meant to call for a rerun of elections. There will be no rerun of elections, not because I'm saying that, but because the laws of the land, Constitution of 1991, the Public Elections Act of 2022 are saying that after election, a petition should be registered 7 days. As to the best of my knowledge, in the Council in the registry, no petition was registered. There is no petition that is anticipated. Review will be done by the 19th June. So we are doing 3 strands of work. We are looking at all electoral laws. We are looking at all election management bodies, ECS, PPRC, the justice sector, security sector, human rights sector, etc., etc. And then after that, we are looking at how do we conduct elections ourselves. Too many of you probably may have voted underage. How do we make sure that doesn't happen? We still have a lot of void ballots in elections. How do we make sure that does not happen? Too many police stations do not open in time, sometimes because we have hard to reach areas. How do we do that? How do we take care of election security, etc., etc.? How do we make sure that a party that does not present a manifesto at least 30 days before election does not contest the election? These are all the things we'll be looking at. To conclude, I want to say, being in the familiar terrain of a university environment, and also having the privilege and opportunity of having the median age of here being like 18, 19 years of this institution, and also I'm very much happy and glad that a brother, one of ours, is putting vision into practice. I'm hopeful that Sierra Leone will be able to compete in the near future and be listed among highly rated
Ivy institutions and universities across the world. And I wish you very well, and I hope you continue to explore and ask questions if you have to move forward. Knowledge is power. Education is the only thing that can lift you from nothingness to something else. Today we are here because of schooling. My mother, 100% illiterate. My late father, barely illiterate. To God be the glory. I'm not very educated, but I've learned something. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Gaima. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to hear from the man himself, the Honorable Minister, who has been tasked to transform the public sector, to make his last statement. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me just talk from the last statement made by Dr. Gaima, that without education, we are just a mass of liquid. We are biology students here. Do we have who read biology at WASC? Or who sat biology? Do we have? So what is the liquid mass of our body? The percentage liquid mass of our body, which we refer to as turgidity. The liquid mass of our body, the composition of our body is liquid, flesh, and bones. So what's the turgidity? The percentage of turgidity is 70%. So our body mass is made up of that 70% fluid. So you need to drink more water. So meaning if you don't have education, you are just a mass of fluid walking up and down the street of Sierra Leone. Yeah. For me, I don't need to talk about the reform, but I think the key in the reform is the reorientation of our mindset and trying to proclaim an identity of being a Sierra Leonean. And I want to end with this. While I was working hard in 2019 to do a similar national consultation to get the details that will inform the agenda for the Bintimani 3, I was in one of the universities and I was asked this question. Mr. Minister, your name is Amara Kalon, and meaning you are from the southeast. Don't you know the government, the present setup, composition of the cabinet is more South, including you? So I leave you with this answer. That there is no Sierra Leonean that is 100% Timini. There is no Sierra Leonean that is 100%. There is no Sierra Leonean that is 100% Madingo, try to call yourself. Intergenerational marriage, interaction has made us percentages of different DNAs. All my siblings were born in Daru barracks. My father was a military man. My great-grandfather come from Mali, settled in Kabbalah. My father joined the army and was taken to Daru. And all my siblings were born in the army. The only one that was born in Kabbalah. I got my education at St. Francis Secondary School, Makeni. My mother's grandfather is the first paramount chief in Kamalu. So my mother is the first cousin to Sambura Kamara. So if I want to be the president of this country, I will vote anywhere. I will campaign inside of this country. I have a northern side. My siblings we are born in the south. My father is from the north. I'm not in Sierra Leone. If you care about it, and the rest of it. So what I'm saying is the fact that it's an assignment. Go and check your filial generation. It's an assignment. So when in biology, when you talk about the filial genetics now, genetics, heredity, it says that you have the parent father and the parent mother. When they bring together, the first generation is called the first filial generation. Not it? So they are hybrids. Not so? But if the first filter generation interacts with hybrid, it's an inbreed. Not that, it's an inbreed. So go and check your first, second, third, and fifth filter generation and answer yourself whether you are a true Timini, whether a true Mende, a true Madingo. To answer the question and come with the response that indeed there was a disconnect in your lineage, then we don't judge by tribe any longer in this country. Rather, they judge about ourselves as Sierra Leoneans. That as a result of interrelationship, as a result of marriage, one country and one people. Because your filial generation, your grandfather might have married, your great-grandfather might have married another tribe, your mother might have married, and mostly women fall victim of these circumstances. So as we leave you today, that if you are here because you need to get the education, Dr. Gaima said, and I know that applies to most of you here, your parents cannot any right way, if they write like this whole, they are here. And it's an opportunity that you need to take advantage of. Don't wait to be recommended by somebody. Let you be judged by the content of your character, not by the color of your skin, not by your connection to the system, but let you be judged by the character of what this university is providing for you. Go through the university and don't allow the university to go through you. If you go through the university, you carry everything. But if you allow it to go through you, there are de facto issues at the university that are not under the control of the administration, but the university carry them along. And if they go through you, they are going to live within your system negative influences that will affect your life all through fraternities, immoralities, character, attitude and behaviors, respect for authority, the power to be respected and earn respect, not to demand respect. And most important and above all, you are not somebody else. You are yourself. So be yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll come to the close of this program. Let me use this opportunity to thank the university management for creating this platform. And for our speakers, let me thank you for coming. It has been exciting. It has been wonderful. It's been a learning process for us all. Let me leave you with this. Knowledge is power. And power is knowledge. Go for knowledge and be powerful. On this note, let me call on Henry Boxing Sisney for the closing. Henry Boxing Sisney. Put your hands together for him. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honored guest, Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, and staff of Central University, college students, I greet you. We feel honored as students to have the presence of very high and of dignitaries to be in our presence today. And not just to be in our presence to discuss any kind of topic, but a very sensitive topic that will not just help us currently in whatever we're doing, but
have just given us more hope that yes, when the video was playing, the song that was used for the background music was talking about Sweet Sierra Leone. And so all what has been discussed gives us hope that yes, we have hope that Sierra Leone will be a better place, and yes, we'll have a sweet Mama Sierra Leone. We are very much happy to have you. We hope to get programs like this in subsequent times. We really will not want to have a situation where it is only for independent celebrations that we have some of you here. This is all part of our learning process. Once we have had here, many of us, or all of us here, will never hear some of these things in our lecture rooms. And so we really want to appreciate you. And by whatever powers you have, you will see how best you put Central University first in whatever opportunities that may come. This is a private institution, but I'll tell you that the staff here and the students here are ready to work in line with what the government says, and we are very much willing to accept programs from our public sector, even though we are a private institution. We really believe that one of the things we've been pleading for is that the government grant aid be granted to some of our students, even though we are attending a private institution, but we are public. We all belong to Sierra Leone, and so we are pleading that you look into that, and we thank you and pray God bless you and God bless your family and God bless your family.
Thank you. So on this note, we draw a curtain, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again. Let's give our dignitaries passage to go as they are going to take their lunch. See you next time. God bless you.